Hi everyone, welcome back to another weekly reading vlog. I hope you're having a good day. So today is Monday, July the 18th. It's almost 1 p.m. I haven't read too much today, but I have just finished editing last week's reading vlog, like weekly reading vlog, so you guys it should already be up by the time this is up. I truly want to get better at vlogging, so I'm not going to get better if I don't like work at it. While I was editing my last reading vlog, I noticed that I brought up a book once. I talked about it once and I've never brought it up again throughout the rest of the reading vlog. When I was editing the video, I was like, why didn't I talk about this book again? That book was The Body in the Tower by Y.S. Lee. That is the second book in the agency series. In the series, we follow a young woman named Mary. And when Mary was really young, she was taken in by a finishing school that really focuses on young women's like independence and giving them certain skills or the skill set in order to be independent in like 1850s London. And when she gets older, she is told by like the headmistresses or whatever that this finishing school also secretly doubles as an agency where young women conduct espionage at the request of others, mostly like Scotland Yard. And so the first book we follow Mary in her first mission, and in the second book, the one I'm currently reading because I haven't finished reading it, we follow Mary in her second mission. I don't think this is a long series. I think it's 4 books in total. But yeah, I started talking about it last week and I just like never brought it up again. Like it dropped off the face of the earth. Like I don't know. I haven't finished reading it, so that's good. We're gonna start off talking about that book. So far we've just established our characters again. The mystery at hand is that there was a bricklayer working at a construction site and he fell, died, but someone has asked the agency to investigate this a little bit further to see if there was something going on, and so they send Mary and she goes undercover as like a really young boy. There's a little bit of a romance that I think is going to thread throughout the 4 books, so it's pretty light in the first book and it'll eventually develop. I kind of like that format for a romance. I don't really want characters, especially young like YA characters, to like declare their love for each other so early. I don't know, it's just like not something that I relate to because that's not who I was as a teen. I did want this week to have a little bit of a theme, and using The Body in the Tower, I was thinking maybe this week could be a mystery and or thriller week. I don't know if I'll get through everything I want, but I did have a little bit of a TBR. The first book that I would like to also read this week, I picked up because I feel like it might have similar beats or elements vibe to The Body in the Tower, and that is The Curious Beginning, the first book in the Veronica Speedwell series by Deanna Raybourn. I don't think the plot's similar at all, but in this book we follow Veronica Speedwell, who's a fairly independent woman. She's an adult, whereas our main character in the agency series is a teen. Our main character Veronica is a little bit of a scientist and she kind of just does whatever she likes. This also takes place in London like the agency series, except this is a few decades like afterwards. The plot, I don't think it's going to be at all similar, but I believe in this book someone tries to abduct Veronica and she kind of gets away with the help of a German baron and a reclusive, bad-tempered natural historian named Stoker. And that's pretty much the gist of it. It says it's a mystery. Maybe it has more thriller vibes. I don't really know. But the reason why I thought they might be somewhat comparable or like might go well together, despite the plot being like not the same at all, is that it is lighthearted. It is a historical period, relatively the same period. We have independent female characters. I'm assuming that one of these characters, I'm assuming Stoker, is going to be like a love interest that we'll see throughout the series like the agency series. I've been wanting to read this series for quite some time. I always see these books but never the first one in my library, so I bought a physical copy at my used bookstore. That's the first book on this week's TBR. So I know the agency series leans more towards mystery. I'm assuming the Veronica Speedwell series also leans towards mystery. So I wanted to pick up something that leans towards thriller, and I have an adult and a YA as well. The YA book I have is Firekeepers Daughter by Angeline Boulley. I've heard so much about this, so many like praises about this. So many people that I trust with their reviews have said that this is like amazing, 5 stars. I'm gonna choose not to read the inside flap because I don't want to get spoiled, but I do know that we follow a young woman, a young girl who is part Ojibwe, and her other parent, I want to say, is like like just white American. I could be wrong about that, but she is indigenous, and something happens, some sort of tragedy strikes, I think, on a reservation. That's pretty much all I know. Again, I don't want to spoil myself. I have heard that there's quite a bit of triggers. A couple topics do come up in this book, like quite a bit from what I've heard. And for the adult thriller that I'm picking up, I'm assuming this is like leaning towards more thriller. I haven't read it, so I don't know, but this is an author that I've been wanting to read for quite some time. She's very popular, and I think this is the book that more people tend to like. She's kind of divisive with some of her books, and that is The Death of Mrs. Westaway by Ruth Ware. In this book, we follow a woman who finds out that she's bequeathed an inheritance from a grandmother that she did not think she had. She assumed that all her grandparents were dead, but apparently one was still alive, and she just got her inheritance from her. So she goes to this like sprawling English estate. Things are not as they seem. Pretty generic type of plot, but I'm interested. Again, Ruth Ware is really popular. I have another book. I have also The Lion Game from her, but I have not heard the best things of this one, so I wanted to start Ruth Ware with something good. I don't want to start off with like a bad taste in my mouth with this author. That is my TBR for this week. I am also using an audiobook to do chores around the house, just for something to listen to. I can't ask if you want to listen to it because the video will be up before I get your response, right? So it just wouldn't fit the theme. So I don't know if I should include it. I'm not going to include it. You'll hear about it in a recent reads. But yeah, those are the 4 books that I will be trying to read this week. Fingers crossed that I don't get lazy or like procrastinate and like play video games when I should be reading. I think it's a good stack. I'm optimistic. I want all of these books to be minimum 4 stars. I will update when I have something to talk about with you. Hi, so I just finished filming a recommendations video, which I'm very excited for. I haven't done recommendations in a while, and I kind of missed it because I've mostly been doing hauls or wrap-ups or vlogs. It's good to just say, hey, read these books, and I hope you read them, please. Yeah, just finished filming that. It's Tuesday morning, by the way, probably around 11. I don't have my phone with me. Where's my phone? Oh, I'm filming on my phone. Hopefully I'll get that edited and uploaded at least by tomorrow. I have made progress in the body in the Body in the Tower by Y.S. Lee. I'm still in the middle of that. I'm about 55% of the way through, so I'm really powering along. It's going well. Nothing too exciting is happening. We're in the middle of a mystery. It's a very like low-key mystery. It's not like, this intense story. I mostly just like being with our main character. Yeah, it's like one of those stories where you can just like chill, hang out with her, and be like, hey, like, how you doing, girl? Also, let me show you what I think my filming setup is going to be for quite a while, because it's the only place that I have space. I have a very small room. So this is where I film. That's my bed, 2 boxes, my camera. My camera doesn't have like a view screen, so I put a mirror in the back to see what that camera sees. My shelves, I got a ring light. So and this is what I look at when I look down. This is what I'm looking at. So yeah. So I just finished The Body at the Tower by Y.S. Lee, and I would give it like 3.5 stars. I enjoyed it for the most part. So 2 things that I really liked: the relationship between our main character Mary and her love interest. It's that kind of tense that hits differently when it's a historical fiction versus when it's like contemporary, because the rules of like courting and relationships are a bit different. And I also really enjoyed the pacing of like getting to the reveal and the end of the mystery. 100 pages before the book ends is when we start unraveling like the story, and we're getting reveal after reveal. And I appreciate that we get like 1/3 of the book to like explain the mystery, as opposed to sometimes I feel like mysteries get explained like 30 pages before the book ends, and this is like 100 pages of slowly like getting to it. I personally like that. I would say those were like the strong points of this book. While I enjoy it and I like the low-keyness of it all, it's not the most page-turning book of them all, but I don't mind a low-key mystery personally. I'm gonna take a break from reading and make some like instant noodles or something quick, and then I'll probably pick up Ruth Ware's The Death of Mrs. Westaway, because I want to read something adult, but I want to read something fast. I hope it goes well, and I will talk to you all later. Good morning. It's Monday. I did not finish my TBR, so I'm just gonna like extend this reading vlog until I finish the rest of the books that I wanted to read. I'm currently on page 240-ish of The Death of Mrs. Westaway. I'm really enjoying it. The plot is, again, fairly simple and straightforward. Someone gets told they have like a long lost family, and then there's some sort of like mystery at hand, like family drama. So I'm really enjoying it. Simple premise, but like it's fine. We're really getting to a mystery now. I want to say that up until now it's been mostly like uneasiness, kind of awkward situations, which is fine. I love like awkward family drama, tension, that kind of stuff. But now we're kind of getting into the mystery, and I'm assuming that we'll get into the thrills of it once the mystery starts getting like wrapped up. So I'm enjoying it so far. I fucked up my knee recently, so that's why I hadn't been reading. I hope this reading vlog doesn't take the rest of this week. I don't want it to be like 2 weeks worth of footage. Not that I'm filming like a ton, but I want to do other things. Hopefully we'll finish this one today, and then maybe start on A Curious Beginning, because that is historical fiction. So yeah, I will talk to you all later. A Curious Beginning by Deanna Raybourn. So I didn't really feel like updating throughout the entirety of this book, because for the most part it was pretty like average. It wasn't blowing me away. Best part of the book for the majority was just, I guess, the witty banter, this humor that I see a lot in like Victorian settings or even sometimes Regency settings. It's like snarky, but not like in a always like a mean-spirited way. A lot of the humor is very much a play on words, which I know that's like the definition of like a joke, like humor, but like it's not like funny one-liners that you might see in like a Marvel movie, but it's also not a joke in the way that like a comedian sets up this like a long-winded joke. It's like callbacks and just like maybe even humor based on a certain like academic reference or something. I like that kind of humor. The back and forth between Veronica and Stoker I also really enjoyed. I feel like this, again, like some of the other series that I've read, I feel like this is gonna be like a romance that spans a few like books, which I like as well. Their dynamic kind of reminded me of like Bones and Booth, if you've ever seen the TV show Bones. She's like smart and witty. She's not as like separated from like her emotions and humanity the way Bones is, but she is very much like has a very level head. Even during like the most stressful situation, she's not very panicky, I guess. Not that Stoker is either. He's, I guess, more prone to like getting annoyed by her. So I was like fully prepared to give this like 3 stars. However, at about 270 pages, which is like out of 330 pages, there was a bit of a reveal that I really liked. Like, I really liked that. I was finally like, oh, okay, like, let's get into this, because I'm actually like starting to like it now. It is kind of late in the book, 270 pages in, but I liked it enough that I kind of sped through the rest of it this afternoon. So I'm torn because I really like the ending, but getting to it was kind of dull. They only really started treating it like a mystery maybe 100 and something pages in, when from the get-go it was pretty obvious that like there's been a murder, like, and you're probably at the center of it all. But our main character is like, no, it has nothing to do with me. I don't think so. Yeah, girl, like, this is about you, and I don't know why you're kind of denying it. But yeah, I'm kind of torn. Maybe a 3.5. just to call it square. Not exactly a 3, but not really a 4 either. If I were to continue the series, it'd probably be on audiobook. Maybe I'd read it physically if I can find, again, a cheap copy, because I don't think I'd buy these like brand new or anything. But yeah, probably audiobook, maybe an ebook, but I'd probably prefer audio, to be honest. So my dog is barking, so I'm just gonna end the clip here. Okay, bye. Okay, so I'm about 200 pages into Firekeeper's Daughter. It's so good. Like, right off the bat, well, I mean, I'm 200 pages in, so like I have a good sense of like maybe what I'm trying to rate it. At this point, maybe like 4 stars, like minimum 4 stars, unless the ending is like really bad and it pisses me off, but I don't see that happening. Where should I start? Okay, so the plot of this, whenever people talk about this, I don't usually hear like a concise plot or something to like give the reader an idea of like what it's about. Most people will just like tell you to go in blind, or at least the people that I watch tell you to go in blind, which is totally fine. That's how I went into, and I'm having a good time. But we do follow a young Ojibwe girl who has recently graduated high school, and she's gonna go off to like a local like college. So it's that transition to life. So it's like, it's technically kind of, it is YA, but maybe touching on new adult, whatever that means to you. And she kind of gets involved in a investigation. A crime occurs and she gets wrapped into it. It's a federal on the federal level, because it takes place on a reservation for a good chunk of the story, so BI and other federal level groups. That's pretty much it as far as plot wise I would want to share. I personally, whenever, this is like the second book that I can think of the top of my head, where a character gets involved in an investigation and basically becomes like an informant almost. I feel like I don't really like that in stories, because it comes off very like predatory almost. And at this point, the author hasn't really talked too much about how, like, the fact that the character is kind of not necessarily strong-armed, but it was kind of like, you should really be a part of this because of XYZ reasons. Like, you know, it almost felt like pressured for her to like be part of this investigation, which I don't love reading that. I know sometimes that is what happens, but I don't like reading it. A lot of this book touches on the feelings of our main character, who is half Ojibwe and half her mother's side of the family is like French descent, so she's like white American, as well as like Ojibwe. The kind of issues that she comes across, that she faces, while I don't relate like on one level, I can sympathize with her and all that kind of stuff. So that's a huge aspect of this book that I love seeing the author kind of explore in its own little ways, because it's not always like directly like hate being spoken at her. It's just sometimes the way people treat her, or like little offhand comments. But yeah, very tense moments at times. I'm really liking this. The writing, while isn't like super like purple and like very decorative and all that kind of stuff, it has that kind of like airport quality, while not sacrificing like substance. Like a James Patterson read can be very fast to take in. It might not always be like the best thing. This is fast for me to take in, but I still feel like this is really good work on top of that, so I love that as well. Right now it's like a 4-star vibe. We'll see what happens when the book ends. So yeah. Okay, so I did finish reading Firekeeper's Daughter. Before I talk about this though, it is like 100 and something degrees today in Texas. I live in South Texas, so it's very hot. So if you hear my AC, in the back. I'll try to like fix with the audio, but it is what it is. I finished this. It's probably going to be a 5 stars for me. It is probably also going to be so like in my top 10, at least at this point in the year. For sure in my top 10. I really love this. As far as like mystery thriller goes, like I love both of those components of the story. The mystery had a lot of twists and turns, and the end also full of like thrills and all that kind of stuff. There were certain characters that I had been anticipating were part of this overall like crime, the things that have gone wrong. I expected that they were a part of it, so I wasn't surprised when it was like revealed. But there were also other characters that I did not know had a part in the stuff that was happening. Without spoiling like what happens, I really enjoyed how this romance was handled, which I typically kind of either ignore or isn't, you know, in YA, I don't really care about the romance. It is what it is. It's like whatever to me for the most part. But I really like how the author handled the dynamics between both of them. And I really like where they left off, kind of like almost like, not a cliffhanger, but like, and whatever happens next, and that's okay. I like that. There is a huge feeling of bitterness throughout the entirety of this book. Bitterness for what has happened to our character. Bitterness for not just like the specific events that have occurred, but also like something that was brought up was the people who are involved with the things that are going on here. Some of them are indigenous, and as much as our main character wants some sort of justice, it is a little bitter to like know that the justice will be dealt by the federal government, which the history between indigenous groups and the feds, it's messy. And that's putting it lightly, so it feels unfair in general. Though I will say, like, as far as like the endings go, I don't want to say it's like a happy ending or anything because there's still a lot of trauma involved, but it's not going to leave anyone like too angry. You don't have to worry too much about like the ending feeling unsatisfactory. Like any major trigger warning that you can think of that you might be susceptible to, keep that in mind. I'm sure someone has like a huge list either on Goodreads or Storygraph, but the most major ones are like narcotics abuse, alcohol abuse, violence against women, death in the family, there's kidnapping. So this was a major win, and I'm glad I'm ending the vlog on a major win. So yeah. So just to recap, I did read The Body at the Tower and A Curious Beginning. Both of these are Victorian era mysteries, more so mystery than thriller. What I would say about these two is that while I wasn't super like into the mystery aspect of it all, I was liking the back and forth, the tension, the relationships between our main characters in both of these books. And both of these books also have what I'm assuming to be a romance that expands and grows throughout the series. It's not like, again, I don't want to spoil anything, but in both of these series, the couple is not like together by the end of book 1, shall we say. So I like that as well. That could be part of like the genre, like Victorian mystery, or it could also just be the fact that this is a series, so maybe the authors don't want to like rush into like getting them married by book 1, you know. And of course I also do have the 2 contemporary picks. No one ever mentioned this, and it just hit me right now that while this is technically more contemporary, this actually does take place in like the 2000s, which is a little detail that maybe some of the older readers who want to try something more younger might like, because it has a few references. It's not like heavy-handed or anything, but they do talk about having like razor phones, and they mention like Janet Jackson's Super Bowl like wardrobe malfunction. So little things like that. It's a little fun fact that I hadn't seen mentioned. This one felt more of a thriller. This one felt more of a mystery. This one will probably leave like the forefront of my mind as time goes on. This one will probably stay with me for some time. So that's the end of my vlog. If you made it to this point, thank you so much for watching. This vlog took a little longer than I expected, but that's okay because it is what it is. Feel free to talk to me in the comments down below about anything that I've talked about so far. I will link all my social medias down below, as well as some far more important links. Feel free to like, dislike, comment, or subscribe, or do neither. It's all cool with me. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Peace out.